What's up, Weirdos? I'm Chris Weir, and it's time for another edition of Chris Weir Answers. And today I answer, how do you create so much content? So every single week, I'm producing anywhere from around 50 to 300 pieces of content. And I'm doing this by myself. I don't have a team of people that I've employed specifically to create my content. There's no editors, there's no producers, there's no filmers. I'm doing all of this on my own. So how in the world am I able to pull that kind of volume off in a week? And more importantly, how can you do this for your business? Well, I find there's three things that are incredibly important to be able to produce at this type of level. Number one is efficiency, number two is consistency, and number three is frequency. Now let's start with efficiency. You got to be smart about producing that volume of content, right? So I follow what I call the Weirdo content model, and it's a pretty common sense. After you hear it, it's not necessarily something that you think about all the time if you don't do content creation, but it's actually a common sense way to produce content to scale. So you have three layers of content. One is your primary layer, then you have secondary content, and then reactionary content. So your primary content, for me, are videos like the Daily Weirdo, Chris Weir Answers this episode. From that primary content, what I do is I take snippets of the video or the audio, or I take a screenshot for a graphic or something to that effect. And from that, I create multiple pieces of content below. So generally, I can create about 30 pieces of content from just one primary piece of content, just by following the content model that I've set up. The secondary content that gets created, you end up distributing as well. So for instance, this video will actually become a podcast. So I just rip the audio from this video and put it out. That takes all of 5 minutes to get done, right? So I take the audio and now I have two pieces. I've got this video and then I've got the audio. And then I come in and write a quick blog about everything that I've talked about. So I'll go back and I'll rewatch this video. Everything that I've discussed, I will write it out in a blog. Now, there's two ways you can do that. One, you can actually just listen and transcribe it. The other is is using text to talk, or talk to text, excuse me, talk to text. I have a Mac. It's okay. I got to go back through there and put all the punctuations in and fix all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's a little bit annoying. I find it to be a little more time consuming, to be perfectly honest. I would rather just sit down and type. But I'll create a blog post from that. Then I'll take a quote that I use during the episode that I think would resonate well, and I create a quote graphic from that. So you got your primary, your secondary, and then you have your reactionary content. So once I put out my primary and secondary content, I start listening. I want to see what your feedback is and what you guys comment on and what you like and what pieces you appreciate. And then from that, I create additional content relevant to your reactions and your engagements. So again, that's another reason why I appreciate so much whenever I receive feedback and I receive the follow-up. But that also enables me, or it equips me, to be able to create even more content relevant for you. So primary, secondary, reactionary content, and you can end up with 30 pieces of content for one video that you produce. Or if you prefer audio over video, you don't like being on camera and you'd prefer being just on podcast, record audio. It's the same concept. You create all the different layers of content from there. Also under efficiency, I am very particular about my file protocols, how I save files, the folder system and the file structure that I set up and that I have in place. A lot of people look at it and they think it's overkill, but those same people are also losing files all the time. They can't find things. So my system, you can call it overkill if you want, but I don't lose stuff and I can get around it very, very quickly. So I am a big fan of folders and subfolders and organizing all of my files so that I can quickly find them and reference them. I also fully utilize my softwares. My primary editing softwares are Photoshop for graphics and then Premiere and After Effects for video. And you can fully utilize those softwares to link files together so that I edit one file and it distributes that edit across multiple videos and this kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's ways that you can really fully utilize the softwares that cuts down on some of the labor that's involved in the editing process. And then from a distribution standpoint, I use Hootsuite currently. I've used Loomly. I've used Zoho Social. I've used multiple softwares over the past, but right now Hootsuite is kind of floated to the top at present. Whether that sticks forever or not, I don't know. But right now I'm using Hootsuite. And what that allows me to do is after I've created all the content, I put all of that content into Hootsuite. So I'm actually scheduling posts. So for instance, after I finish producing this video, I'll put the post into Hootsuite and say, I want you to post this on Monday at, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever time it is that I want to distribute the piece of content. And it schedules it to happen. That way I don't have to, at 4 o'clock, show up and remember to post it. If I get called into a meeting or something to that effect, I'm able to do that meeting and I don't have to be at my computer at specific times to post my scheduled post. And that's the other piece is you follow a schedule, right? So that kind of goes into the consistency piece and I guess a pretty good segue into consistency. My production is all done a week ahead. So I'm filming this video and it will not be distributed until next Monday, I think is when this video goes out. So I'm producing everything the week before. And when I say everything, that's all the primary and most of the secondary content. The reactionary content gets done the week of, but the primary and secondary content is done the week ahead of time. And I use a project management software called Basecamp. It's a very easy to use, very simple, minimalistic software. Not a great ton of bells and whistles, which I appreciate. So it's a pretty straightforward software, but it organizes all the to-dos that need to be done. So it puts it in calendar form. It can be task lists and subtasks, and it schedules it and assigns it and all this kind of great stuff. So Basecamp is very, very effective for me. It gives me a warning and an email and a notification on my desktop whenever I'm missing tasks. So, when you produce a video, I've got to create a thumbnail. I have to write a description. I have to get all the metadata done. I have to actually edit the video. I have to upload it. There's all these different steps for every single one of these pieces of content to produce. That project management software makes sure I don't forget any of those and that everything gets produced on a consistent basis. But I also employ time blocking in my day. I have to set aside certain times of the day to sit down and focus on producing this stuff. I live in the West Valley of Arizona, which is right near Luke Air Force Base. So there are certain times of the day that the Air Force are running exercises around this area. And I am constantly interrupted by jets if I am videoing at the wrong time of the day. So weekends are great for me to video because they're not running exercises. So it's all about blocking your day based on your schedule and how it goes. If you have a lot of meetings during the day, maybe the afternoons are the best time for you to film or the mornings, whatever. That's up to you. And then, of course, when I say film, that, again, could be writing, it could be filming, it could be podcast, whatever it is that is your forte, what you're best at. That's where you need to focus. And then the last thing is frequency. I follow what I call the $5 rule. Every single piece of content that I create, or if I react to someone else's post, because you have to engage with other people as well, I'm basically putting my 2 cents in, right? So if you can produce around 250 pieces of content a day, you'll be putting 2 cents every single time. You'll be putting $5 into your marketing effort. So therefore, the $5 rule. So I aim for 200, and I said a day, I meant a week, sorry, 250 2-cent efforts every single week, and I can put $5 a week toward my marketing effort from that standpoint. So there's the $5 rule. That's what I kind of follow. The more the merrier, right? I don't ever want to do less than 5, but I can, if it's a good week, I can do more than that. And then also in regards to frequency and why that's so important, through the years in marketing, we've always said we want to stay top of mind of our prospects and our clients. And now it really is not just top of mind. Now it includes top of timeline, right? Especially from the social media standpoint, because that's where so many of us communicate now. So in order to be able to stay at the top of the timeline, you've got to constantly be putting that content out. So by being very frequent, high volume content, you're able to stay at the top of most timelines of your audience, which puts you at top of mind, right? Because it is top of the timeline. So that's very top level. I'll be making a lot of sub videos. Tell me what in all of this interests you the most, and I can create some reactionary content, kind of like I explained. This is a very, very important topic because contextual content campaigns are, I believe, the most important thing that you can be doing to market your business today. And if you're a small business and you can't afford to hire an agency like 2-Second Media, like I own, you can do this on your own. There are ways for you to be able to do this without having to outsource all that production to the agencies. I don't know that I wouldn't. I would consider hiring an agency to do your buying for you, just because that is a huge topic by itself. But all this production, you can do all of this. So let me know what you think. Give me any questions that you might have, and I can create and continue creating some more content and giving you advice on how you can do this on your own. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you on the next Chris Weir Answers.